Funny. Well, hey Peggy, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. You're looking great. Definitely camera ready as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, again, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time out of the day. It's going to help out a ton of people that are possibly thinking about using my services, and as well that were possibly in your situation. So it's, again, I really appreciate it. So if you could, before we met, did you have any previous experience, buying or selling with agents, if there was any? I know you were an agent at one point, so.
I was, and I had not. We had been blessed with my husband and I built the home that we're in.
Yeah.
And prior to that, we were living in a home that was a family home in Norfolk. So I've not had to deal with real estate agents. I don't mean that sounds sour, but I never did. However, I did sell real estate for 10 years,
Yeah.
yes. So I knew what I wanted in a real estate agent, and you fill that bill.
Cool. Thank you very much, Peggy. Hey, let's do this actually, Peggy. I'm gonna, 1 second. So you're pretty zoomed in on your head. I don't know if you want it to be like that or if you want to tilt the camera a little.
Okay, I'm not sure where you.
JC, are you able to help out with that? Because she's pretty zoomed. There we go.
I need to step back further.
Perfect. No, you're good. You're good now. I just didn't know if you wanted it to be like that or not. Your head is
not really.
We're gonna give you a heads up.
Cameras are not my favorite thing.
Me neither. So thank you for doing it again. And so I don't know if you remember, but you had it listed for sale by owner. You guys had it on the market for actually over 120 days. Can you give me an idea of why you decided to try to sell on your own and how the experience was? I know there was a lot of personal emotions attached to it, being that it was your father's house. It was an estate sale. So was that one of the reasons why you were trying to sell on your own? Can you give me a little idea of it?
It was, and my father had been, when we actually listed the house, Dad had been gone over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we had several neighbors that had approached us about the house and wanted to view it and this sort of thing and showed interest. So with my real estate experience and the fact that several neighbors had expressed an interest, I thought, well, let me try it, on my own first, and check out the market in the neighborhood before that I pass it on. So
yeah.
That was basically why I decided to go that route.
Okay. And can you give me a little idea of how the experience went, like throughout the time that you tried selling on your own?
Well, it was a little difficult in many different ways. For one, I live in Suffolk and the house was in Norfolk.
Yeah.
So I was looking at 45 minutes to an hour every time it needed to be shown. So that was a little difficult. And then just, the phone calls, oh my gosh, they were inundated. I was inundated with phone calls. And most people were just curious, which, rightfully so. You're not going to sell it if you don't get the word out there and get the news out there.
Yeah.
So it was very time consuming, extremely so, much more than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's usually how it is. Especially with real estate, a lot of people think it's going to be very easy, simple, but a lot of times it tends to be a lot more involved than it really is, which it ended up being throughout the whole process. There was a lot involved, a lot of moving parts. So I'm happy.
And the fact that, as I said, my real estate experience, when you're doing it as your career, you expect to put that many hours in.
Yep.
But as for sale by owner and so much going on in my life, it was just overwhelming to try and deal with that and push it forward and have the things that were, because I'm still dealing with things on my father's estate and probate and whatever. So it was a lot. Just more than what I bargained for, I think.
Yeah, but now we're happy. It's all done and over with.
There we go. Yes, absolutely.
So can you give me what were you thinking when we first met? Honestly, like what were you thinking about me when you first met?
You impressed me from the beginning. As you probably know, I think I know you and another agent asked to review the house as agents and to work from the other end, from the selling end, with bringing a seller to the home. And but you were very impressive. You presented me with literature that was very helpful. You offered advice. You weren't from the very beginning. I never felt like you were pushing to get the listing. You were there to help me. And so that was very impressive to me. And then from that day on, you were a man of your word. If you told me you were going to do something, you did. You followed up with me. Even the female agent that had come and previewed the home, who lived in the area, and who was at first my first choice, because I thought, well, if she lives in the area, she knows the area, she knows the people. But after that initial day, I never heard from her.
Gotcha.
You were there. You contacted me, and as I said, you were never pushy. You were never, okay, well, aren't you tired of doing this? Let me do it for you. You were just there to offer advice, and I appreciated that greatly. So when it came time that I was done, and I told my sister, I said, this is it. We're not getting very far on our own. So you were my first thought, because you impressed me from the very beginning.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Can you recall what was one of the major things that I did that possibly made you decide to try out my services instead of other realtors? I know you had mentioned, I was pretty consistent and I wasn't too pushy. Was there anything that you can highlight that you really appreciated that was like, all right, I'm going to give this guy a shot? Because the other lady, obviously she was in the neighborhood. One of the things you're saying, she no longer followed up. But if she was continuing and following up, what was one of the things that had set me apart from the other realtor, would you say?
I think the fact you were just very easy to talk to. You were very personable. And in this day and time, Tein, it doesn't seem like to me, I mean, I think I mentioned to you, or I know I did, my sister owning a bed and breakfast deals with a lot of different business people.
Barclays Bed and Breakfast over in Virginia Beach, right?
Yes, exactly.
For anyone
Beautiful.
that's interested in a bed and breakfast place, it's an awesome spot in Virginia Beach. You got to check it out. Barclays Bed and Breakfast.
On the corner of 16th and Arctic, and it has massage. They have massages and gourmet breakfast.
Yeah.
You're right. You're going to check it out. I know.
I'm definitely gonna. I've already talked to my wife about it. So anyone else, definitely recommend it. Your sister Sharon, she's a total sweetheart. I can imagine them running their business really warm and welcoming for sure. So
they do.
They
truly
I highly
do.
recommend it for anyone else looking to check it out, just from meeting with her. So.
But she has dealt, of course, in her business, has had to deal. And throughout my life, I worked with the federal government for almost 40 years. You find that you get very, it's just dealing with people, usually from the very beginning, whether they're people of their word and whether they're going to, be there for you. Yeah. And I felt that from you from the beginning. We were raised, there was 5 of us girls, and we were raised that your word is your bond. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, you're going to do it. I don't care what comes up in between that looks a little more appealing, you're going to do that. And that's what impressed me about you. Your word, if you told me you were going to do something, if you were there, and you were honest, and you were, as I said, personable, easy to talk to. I felt like I was dealing with a friend rather than a business acquaintance.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And can you walk me through like somewhat of the process of how it went from when we first listed to actually when we got the home sold? Because I know there were a lot of things that had popped up, a lot of moving parts that were definitely unexpected. But one of the things that I take pride in my business is keeping my clients fully up to date of what's going on, whether it's good or bad news. Would you say I kept my word on that too? Because typically I call everybody on a weekly basis, literally giving them an update of what's going on with the home. And I'm very hands-on when it comes to helping out my clients, fulfilling the services that we're looking for essentially. And especially when it comes to a home such as yours, where it's an estate sale and there's a lot of emotions attached to it. And, that's one of the things that was very awesome, having the ability to help you guys out with that. Can you give me a little idea of what the process was like?
It was seamless. I mean, and when you say you and I, and I even joked about this with my sister, probably the first 2.5 weeks, I talked to you every day. You either text me or we talked every single day. And it wasn't, I mean, it was wonderful because you kept me abreast of what was going on, what was happening, what we were going to do. The frustrations that I was feeling because you may have, or well, of course you knew I had sold it and the contract fell through. So after a couple of weeks for sale by owner, I was able to get a contract and fell through after, prior to getting it to closing. So, and of course, being an ex-realtor or a retired realtor, I know the frustrations of that.
Yeah.
So you just stayed on top of it. You truly did. You got us to the point where we needed to be. You recommended what we needed to do to make it show better.
Yeah.
After the contract, and I don't know if we're moving to that point, but I mean, your service as far as the inspection and all that needed to be done was amazing. With me, of course, being in Suffolk and my sister being in Virginia Beach and trying to, get termite inspection, to get contractors, to get an HV.
Yeah.
I mean, you did all of that for us.
Yeah.
It was not something I expected, but I so appreciated it.
Yeah. Pretty hands off, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was just marvelous because I mean, I was not expecting to have the problems or the items to fix. The home was over 70 years old, but
Yeah.
I felt that it was in excellent
Yeah.
shape as far as all
Yeah.
of that. So that was an eye opener.
Yeah.
And you calmed me down and walked me through it and got the appropriate people in there and made it seamless. And
Awesome.
you got and the folks that you provided us were excellent. I mean, all of the contractors and the termite and the HVAC and all of the plumber. I mean, you name them, electrician. We had to have them
There
all.
was everything involved. Everything kept popping up for us. But
And you were so kind to I felt like you kept saying it was your job, but I think it was above and beyond. I truly do, because it kept me from running back and forth and visiting with folks, and you made sure that you like the HVAC, you made sure that you had several bids before we made a decision.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was priceless to me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What would you tell someone that's possibly considering of using my services and my help getting their home sold?
I would tell them to definitely, don't even shop around. Just go right towards you, because, as I said, you're a man of your word. And Tein, in this day and time, that's priceless as far as I'm concerned. We like to think that people are. I know even in my day of real estate, I would get frustrated with many of the agents. As I said, I was taught that that's just the way you treat people. And so I tried to be that way as an agent. But did see in many of the agents I worked with that was not the case. So I do know that the service that you provide is above and beyond and is not the norm. And so I would certainly tell anyone who would like to have a seamless, easy process. I mean, you know the market, you know what to recommend as far as changes and what to do. And I'm not just blowing smoke. I truly believe that.
Thank you. Yeah, the marketing approach that we took was a little different from, having the virtual staging in there to make the house pop a little more since it was a little older. But that definitely helped a ton for sure. We got, as soon as we got a lot more showings in there from when you had initially was trying on your own. But hey, Peggy, again, I really appreciate your time. This means a ton to me and helping my business grow. And it also is going to help a lot of people that or possibly thinking about using my services, but are on the fence about it, especially due to the fact that they may not know me. So this definitely gives a nice eye opener for people out there. So again, I appreciate your time. Thank you, Jace, for helping out, and thank you, Sophie, as well. But I'll definitely be in touch, Peggy. It's been a pleasure helping you and your family out. And again, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. All right.
Absolutely. You too, Tein. Thanks so much.
Take care, Peggy. Bye.
Bye-bye.